So Sean O'Malley basically just got finished dominating Chito Vera and putting on a masterclass in the UFC 299 main event. And even though I did predict the fight to go down as it did in the big picture, as I said Sean O'Malley would win via decision, I said 49-46. I thought it would be closer than it was. In fact, it was a masterclass, it was a dominating performance, and you could argue that he won 50-44. And the fight more or less went down as I said it would, in terms of the fact that Chito Vera just would struggle so much with Sean O'Malley's reach, his height, his speed, and at range would get picked apart, especially given just how much offense Sean O'Malley is able to generate from both stances. I know recency bias is a big thing in all sports, especially in MMA, but I think I am ready to say that Sean O'Malley is in my top 2 stand-up fighters in all of MMA right now. The only person I could imagine putting in front of him is Alex Pereira. More than anything, what sets him apart from any other striker in the UFC is that he doesn't just change stance for the sake of it. He's not doing it just to give the other fighter another look. He straight up is able to throw the exact same from each stance. This mixed with the fact of how quick and how powerful his hands are and how effective that front heap is, and finally mixed with the feints that he has, it means that everybody in front of him is constantly biting and guessing on what he's going to do. You've seen this multiple times throughout his career, but you especially saw it today and in his last fight against Aljamain Sterling, where they are unable to commit to shots and are just throwing shots that you know are not going to land from outside of range. And in Aljamain's case, he was never able to get close enough safely to shoot a proper takedown. And so as a result, you just saw 5 rounds of him picking his shots and landing basically almost whatever he wanted at will the whole time. And the only time Chito had any real success was late in the 4th and late in the 5th, when he started to do some good damage to the body, but it was just too late. And after the fiasco that was the ending of their first fight, we can finally put to bed who's the better fighter. Chito's still a high level guy and I would still rank him in the top 5 or 6, but he's just nowhere close to what Sean has become. So what's next for Sean O'Malley moving forward? He basically has one of 3 options, and all of them are as likely as the others. Option number 1. We do what he was saying in the main event post-fight speech, which is to go and fly over to Spain to set up what would be a massive fight with Ilia Topuria. Now, it wouldn't really be the type to break 1 million pay-per-views in my opinion, but it would be the next best thing. It would come close and it would be a massive deal in Europe. And even though I'm a bigger Ilia fan, when it comes to MMA predictions, I try and keep it as objective as possible. And after that fight, given his size and his speed and his age and his prime, I do think he has a way better chance of beating Ilia now than I would have given him about an hour ago. I still think I would probably go with Ilia as my gut prediction, but it's getting close. And I do think that the UFC are willing to do it, especially after the mess that is the featherweight division. They're not going to give that fight to Brian Ortega. Max is about to fight Justin Gaethje, and Volk looks like he needs some time out, so I think they might actually commit to this. I'm not saying they will, but I can definitely imagine the UFC saying yes. Now, with all that said, do I want to see that? The answer is no. I'm sick and tired of all of these cross-division champ fights, especially when the guy has not defended his belt multiple times, and I'm one of those fans that thinks you need to have at least 3, minimum 2 title defenses, and he's only had 1. Ilia's just become champ. I don't want to see it, but I can still see the UFC cashing in. As for option 2, that's Merab, he's obviously the most deserving at bantamweight. He's earned it beyond belief. He's beaten Henry Cejudo, he's beaten Peter Yan, he's beaten Jose Aldo, and so at this point, out of all the bantamweights, he obviously deserves it, and I think even some of the fans want it just because of the fact that he's been waiting for so long. And so out of the 3 options, this is probably the one that's quote unquote correct. This is the one that should happen if we're going with old school UFC rules where the number 1 guy gets the title fight. So this one I would also give a solid chance of happening. And I know I said that all of them are as likely as the other. That's not true, because the last option is Corey Sandhagen, and thinking about it, that's not a fight that I think the UFC will really want to make, and I don't even think Sean's asking for it like that. I'm just throwing him in there because I like him. He's also earned the fight after Merab. He's the most likely to get it, and he's the guy that I want to really see in there. At the end of the day, what do I think they'll do? I think it's a 50-50 flip between Merab and Ilya. I would like to see Corey actually as my personal favorite just because of the fight and the way it would look, but I think they're as likely to go to Spain as they are to give it to Merab. Which one, I'm not sure. I think I might make a video about it down the line, but for now, that's it.